never had a problem expressing my opinions or thoughts or how I feel about certain situations.
You are now watching the Behind the Boards show.
And we're not going to fabricate ourselves in hopes to please everybody. But make no mistake, we are not here to make enemies, but to make conversation.
Featuring Nick, Taylor, and Tyler. The Behind the Boards show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. I am so unbelievably excited for this episode. I have so much to talk about, so much I want to get off my chest. I am juiced up. However, before we get deep into what I and the boys want to talk about, I want to quickly say the media, and by the media, I mean the celebrity news outlets, stinks! Okay? They are actually the biggest morons on the face of the earth, confusing some random guy for Aaron Rodgers in LA. Meanwhile, he's in Green Bay at the time, sitting down, eating Cheetos, watching the football game. This is why I don't follow celebrity news outlets. Plus, they're pointless. And if you do follow celebrity news outlets, they're also pointless. Go outside and go touch some grass, for Christ's sake. So, we do have some topics we want to talk about, but today I'm going to kick off this episode, pun intended, with what I really want to say, and what I really want to get into, because there's been some issues for the past 2 Sundays. The NFL. The New England Patriots have had an interesting time with their QBs lately, and quite frankly, they seem to have found their grace with Mac Jones. Seems like he was plucked out of nowhere. And he's the right fit. Because he gets very pissed off during games. Okay? He's got the confidence, good locker room presence, and can perform on the field. Super accurate.
Reminds me of
the entire management staff, from the coaching staff, straight up to the top, to the owner, understands what the Patriots need, and that is a QB who is mentally tough, physically tough, and throw the ball well. The Patriots seem to have gotten really lucky with their QBs, beating the Browns past Sunday 45-7. What I'm thinking they didn't expect is... Sorry, they beat the Browns this Sunday, 45-7. But what I'm thinking is they didn't expect they got a fucking scumbag. They got a fucking guy who got a hold of Brian Burns' ankle on previous Sunday's game against the Carolina Panthers, my team, and tried to twist that fucking thing off like it was a bottle cap. And now the NFL has apparently reviewed the situation and nothing has happened. Bill Belichick came out and said he thought he had the ball. Now, maybe he got rocked so hard that he didn't understand what was happening, got a hold of the foot and just held on for dear life. Now, what can you say about this? I doubt Mac Jones predicted Brian Burns was going to turn the way he did. And make no mistake, Brian Burns did sell it. He went off the field, came back on, and during that time, people were like, what the hell's going on? And then he hurt Patriots' Damian Harris. His team will definitely love the Mac Jones enthusiasm. Will this put a target on Mac Jones' back? Probably not. Maybe no more than a quarterback already has. Burns and Jones also played against each other in high school, so there's a little bit of rivalry going there. Brian Burns has been whipping Mac Jones' ass since they were 17. Jesus moly, too. And on to the topic. of the Carolina Panthers. Sam fucking Darnold, Jesus moly. Matt Rule, the head coach, is absolutely done with him. No contest, and even worse, our owner, he's done. We had Teddy Bridgewater previously, who didn't even have Christian McCaffrey on the field playing because he was hurt, and who, by the way, is so good on the team that the players around him play differently when he's on the field. But the owner got rid of him. He was just like, get out of here. You ain't winning the Super Bowl. Get the hell out of here. I don't care. Robbie Anderson could be heard on the sidelines. Tighten the fuck up. Sam Darnold, Jesus. You know what, though? This is that classic, okay, we can give you a second chance situation because of the success of Tannehill. You know, he got that second chance. Now look at him. But while we're talking to Darnold, Tepper says, hey, yeah, you can get the second chance. We will pay you the big bucks. We are trying to win the Super Bowl here, but sidebar, we will drop you just as fucking fast as we did Teddy Bridgewater. We have the richest fucking owner in the NHL, in the NFL, in David Tepper, and he will pay, ching, and he will ship because he does not care at all. And now Sam Darnold hits the IR reserve. And Cam Newton.
It was his shoulder that he injured, right?
Yeah, he had some kind of thing happen to his shoulder.
Okay.
So what can I say about Cam Newton? People say he is one of the greatest QBs the NFL has seen. That's great. They usually put him up in top 5. You know, if you're unfamiliar, he's in the likes of Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson. Likes to run the ball. I am not into that. I like a classic QB. Give me a Tom Brady, Stafford, Roethlisberger, Rodgers. That's the kind of QB I like. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Now, in 2015 is when I would say he really cemented himself in the NFL and in the Panthers organization while simultaneously removing himself of it at the exact same time. Okay? He was making waves, and in that year, in 2015, the Panthers had one of the best years the organization has ever seen with a 15-1 season. Same year, went in the playoffs, dominated, got to the Super Bowl, facing the final year with Peyton Manning. Then Von Miller gets his fingertips on the ball, and a fumble happens, and Cam Newton backs away from the fumble, and from that moment on, I stopped liking him. Why? Because I didn't watch the Carolina Panthers because of the Panthers. I guess it was kind of the same way why I liked the Washington Capitals. I really liked Luke Kuechly. He's still to this day one of my favorite players to ever touch the field. And he was there as an early year, or in my early years as an adult. And I've been a fan of him ever since. And obviously until he retired. The thing is, he put so much passion in his work and loves the sport of football so much. I could only imagine feeling what he felt as he stood there on the sideline and watched that play go down. So, like I said, this whole thing with Sam Darnold and Cam Newton happened because Darnold got hurt with I don't know. They called it an incomplete shoulder injury. So, you could just say, I think it had something to do with the scapula or the spatula. Scapula, not the spatula.
He's a kitchen utensil?
He's a kitchen utensil, yeah. They were probably like, hey, Sammy boy, thanks for all you've done, but we're moving on. Hits the IR for 4 to 6 weeks, so the Panthers were able to bring Newton back.
Do you think they would have brought back Newton if Darnold wasn't injured?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
I think that Matt Rule was getting fucking fed up with Sam Darnold. The
Matt
players
Rule is
started
the
getting
coach.
is the head coach.
Head
Yep.
coach. Okay.
Like I said, we have the richest quarterback or the richest owner in the NFL, so we can play with the money. He doesn't care anymore at this point. He wants that. He wants that Lombardi. He wants that Super Bowl. So the Panthers were able to bring back on Newton, like I said. What does that mean long term? Who the fuck knows? But we paid Teddy Bridgewater out of his deal with the New Orleans Saints and then cut him. So we paid him to come out of his contract and then paid him again to come to Carolina Panthers. And we got rid of him. That's what happens, like I said, when you have the richest owner in the NFL. He wants to make things happen now. He's tired of losing. So Cam Newton, you come in, you help us out. Hopefully you utilize everything because if not, see ya.
Well, he's got his, and this is basically his last chance. Like
Pretty much.
He hasn't signed at all. It's like, what did he get? He got let go from the Patriots at the beginning of the season, right?
Yes, because he lost out to Mac Jones.
Okay, so he got let go from the Patriots. He lost out to Mac Jones. And so now he's using this as kind of like a comeback story. If he can play this the remainder of the season with the Panthers and do fantastic, then he gets a deal next season. For sure.
100%. He said before tonight's game that he was out eating cereal. And then we had tonight. But let me get into this first. Before we get into the game, let's talk about this. So Cam Newton, you come in and help us out. Hopefully you utilize everything because if not, see ya, like I said. And at first I was absolutely pissed off about this. Tyler can attest to this. I called him within seconds of me being on the phone with him. My Apple Watch dinged. And I saw that we had reacquired Cam Newton back, and I lost my fucking mind. I couldn't even talk. I couldn't comprehend. It took me a couple hours, honestly, to calm down. But now, CMC, aka Christian McCaffrey, is the face of the team. This is very wide known. This is very well known. If you're in the NFL scene, if you watch a lot of football, I am willing to give this guy another chance. And I said this before tonight's game.
You mean last night's game?
Yes, that's what I meant. There's things I want, okay? There's things I want. I want less press conferences. I want less worry about what the hell he's wearing for said press conferences. More focus on throwing the ball, throwing the rock, running the ball, making plays, and getting W's for the organization. Because, for fuck's sake, we need it, man. We need it. We have... It's just so annoying, okay? But like I said, if he's not, Tepper, I feel like right now he's unintentionally on my side. Tepper will send him packing just as quick as we got him, regardless of the money. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, probably didn't have enough time for the game last night, but he definitely has some adjusting to do to his offensive plays. I mean, I understand the frustration with Sam Darnold, and that's coming from a guy who really, really wanted him to succeed on the Panthers organization. But the fans started. And then the coaching staff. And then players. And like I said, Robbie Anderson telling Sam to tighten the fuck up on the sidelines. My wishes, I hope Cam is in good shape. I hope he can do more than one game. I hope he's ready. I hope he realized what he's lost. And I hope he can take this by the balls and not take it for granted.
He's really got to take it seriously.
Exactly, because just like last time, Matt Rule joined as head coach a couple years ago. There was some tension, and next thing you fucking know, how you doing? Keep it moving. And fucking Tepper sent him on his fucking way. Okay? And this is exactly what Cam did this Sunday. Against the current best team, the Cardinals, who were previously 8-1, now 8-2. This Cam Newton comeback has been storybooked. Cam looked excited, looked fresh, looked healthy. He was screaming in the end zone when he got that touchdown, yelling, "I'm back!" Took his helmet off, got a 15-yard penalty. You're not allowed to do that. He said just last week, like I said, I was eating cereal and now I'm up with Robbie Anderson. Looking like the Carolina boys. The Carolina boys on the football field throwing touchdowns. You know, the Island boys? These are the Carolina boys. It feels like everything is fine and dandy down there in the Carolinas. There was a point where you could see Cam Newton on the sideline hyping up everyone on the team, looking like a true leader already. I think this is classic 2015 Newton. Okay? The guy probably knew 2 plays. Odds are Joe Brady gave him a goal line booklet. Guy knew 2 plays, scored on both of them. What about Darnold? Probably slamming his fists in the walls. Actually, he's probably not. Pretty sure Tepper said, is Cam Newton the guy? Who the fuck knows? But this seems to be like he's back in his groove. Are you the guy? Absolutely not. But if Cam isn't the guy, guess what? Hey, Cam, nice to have you back here throwing and running balls, but see ya. And also, just to put this in perspective, because I don't think other people listening, and I don't even think Tyler or even Taylor understand how much money this guy has, but Tepper has paid $60 million. $60 million to QBs since Cam Newton left originally. We're not even talking about the money that was given to Cam Newton for this contract. $60 million fucking dollars.
Is that since 2018?
The entire
or 2019?
Since 2018.
2018. Okay. Just trying to get my timelines right.
That is fucking absurd. The entire management and coaching staff probably only having, like I said, 1 goal line package for him. In other words, plays specifically for him to get a touchdown or on the goal line. Maybe a quick running play, maybe a quick handoff play. And the fact he ended up in a goal line situation twice in 2 drives to put that thing away, Jesus. Now, I'm not saying he's the best. And I'm not saying he's the only person who could have done it. But I doubt the coaching staff put in any fucking effort. If they did put in effort, it was little to none. Because they probably didn't have enough time to adjust. Which is fine.
I did not even expect him to play this weekend.
No, me neither, because he just joined fucking Thursday.
When did we talk? Yeah, it was Thursday.
Yeah, he just joined Thursday.
I thought it would have been like a next week kind of thing when they're playing Washington, but when you're talking now and he played this Sunday and I was blown away and I looked at the score, I was like, hey, you won. It's a good feeling to come back, win that game, Cam's feeling good. Just see if he runs with it,
He looked really good, and like I said, he ended up on the 1 and the 2 in 2 drives. It's almost fate. It's almost fate. Like the universe is saying, welcome back, and Cam said, I'm back! I think now he just wants to have fun. And that's what I think is what is happening. I think he realized what he was missing when he left and went to the Patriots. I think he realized what he was missing when he lost out to Mac Jones. I think he realized the issue with lying to the coaching staff about his injury back in 2018 when he only played 2 games. I think he said, I'm not fucking going out like that. So I think he took this opportunity with the Carolina Panthers, taking $6 million, saying, you know what? You give me that rock and you guys will come back. Because I'll tell you right now, it did not look very good after week 3 for the Carolina Panthers. And he said, like I said, I'm not going out like that. And it sure as fuck looks that way. Next up, Monday Night Football, but not tonight's Monday Night Football, but last week. Chicago Bears versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 of the oldest franchises in the game. 2 teams that are deciding their fate, that need to decide their fate. Plus the hour rolled back in the clocks, so Pittsburgh was lit the fuck up. This was supposed to be a celebration of football, and what it turned into was these refs fucking stink. They stink, okay? These refs fucking stink. Chris Boswell had the greatest 4th quarter I have ever seen in a fucking NFL game since I've been watching NFL. Chris Boswell, a kicker, okay, had a fumble recovery, a 54-yarder, a 52-yarder, and a game-winning 40-yarder all in 1 quarter. This was all in the 4th quarter of football. You fucking legend, buddy. Fresh off of concussion protocol, this should have been the fucking story. But instead, these refs fucking stink. This fucking Tony Corrente situation. Now, I know this is a little bit of an old news, but I don't give a fuck. This is my time to talk about it. He's a referee, hip-checked Cassius Marsh and threw a fucking flag for taunting the Steelers at their sideline, apparently right after the sack. This fucking guy is the case of letting power go to your head. Power-hungry ego. He's probably saying, hey, buddy, this game doesn't start till I say so. There are some great refs. Great guys. And then there were refs like Tony Corrente who try to make the game about them. I don't think one person's ever said, I'm tuning in to watch a motherfucker in black and white stripes. He wanted to make sure everyone knew that he was there as the referee. He wanted to make sure that fucking Cassius Marsh knew to not do what he did on Tony Corrente's field. If you don't know, he got a coverage sack after 6 seconds. Maybe you don't have to go to the sideline and stare at him down after a coverage sack. But if you don't know the story, he was previously cut by the Steelers. Now back in Pittsburgh against them, Monday Night Football, gets a sack, albeit coverage sack, but still a sack in a massive play and a massive night. Great moment. How you doing? Keep it moving. I think the coach of the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, probably enjoyed the fact that Marsh went to the sideline and stared them down. Does that fucking warrant the ref hip-checking him, throwing a fucking flag in the 4th quarter over his head, extending the drive for the fucking Steelers, and without a doubt, fucking over the Bears completely? Is that human emotion from Cassius Marsh, without saying a word, but saying everything to the Steelers? Like, hey, I could be on your team right now? Worth getting personally offended? Hip-checking and potentially fucking the Bears over? Which I would say they did, because they lost. This is the result of emotions, to be judged by ego-driven humans. Not at all, but some, and clearly this ref is one of them. And here's the thing. When you got people questioning other people's emotions, so much more questions arise. And that is why, when this whole taunting thing became a fucking emphasis in the NFL, it becomes a problem. And look, I know I'm not super smart, and I know people definitely question my thoughts and behaviors, and look, I understand it's a rule. But when it comes to being a point of emphasis, That means the NFL is going to have to be strict on this. And how are you supposed to judge? How are you supposed to judge someone purely on emotions? How? Because it's an emotional game. Okay? You're in a very emotional game. You're in an emotional time. It's... What the fuck do we do then? Okay? Because look, I've played ball. I know every game is very emotional. I know it's a very emotional time. Look, Cassius approached the hash marks from center field. Presley Harvin was jogging on the field, way out of Cassius's field's of view, jogging to the punt stance. So I guess Tony Corrente could say that Cassius Marsh dunked on Presley Harvin after getting a sack on Ben Roethlisberger because he did appear to be potentially looking at him, I guess. But Tony Corrente said, in the manner of the way he was standing, I felt as if, shut the fuck up, Tony Corrente. Shut the fuck up. The fucking issue here is, too, Walt Anderson, the fucking person who's in charge, you know how many times this guy has made it all about him? He's not gonna fucking punish Tony Corrente. Go to the post-game interview and watch this fucking self-righteousness spill out of this guy's soul. I have half a mind to play it on the fucking podcast so you guys can see it. It's a fucking joke to the league. And maybe I should be more pissed off at the Mac Jones situation. But you know what? I'm not. Bottom line. I was pretty upset. But I had to look at it from both sides because I understand both sides. You know, I am also a very emotional guy like Mac Jones. I get mad very, very quickly, especially when it comes to playing sports. And I think a lot of people can attest to this. And unfortunately, it was my biggest downfall when I was playing. But I am able to understand both sides, and I think Mac is going to get some praise from his teammates in that locker room, which is only going to benefit the Patriots in the long run. It's also only going to push Brian Burns to play harder against him next time. And hopefully, get some sacks or something. But this fucking situation is driving me up the wall. In the interview, Adam Hoge, standing there with great posture. He's a fucking professional athlete who just got a sack in the fourth quarter on a Monday Night Football game against the team that cut him earlier this year. He didn't throw his fucking flag until after he hit Cassius, who, by the way, probably saw the ref, probably was thinking, okay, listen, to go around him. And Corrente goes, oh, you're going to walk off my field after doing what you just did without me getting a shot at you? He fucking checks Cassius Marcus if he's a fucking tight end or a running back on a defensive end as he jogs off the field, then throws his fucking flag over his head.
Like he's celebrating.
Yeah, so...
It's New Year's.
So... Is that him taunting Cassius Marsh? Is he going against the same fucking rule that he's supposed to be going at? Or emphasizing on the field? I fucking guarantee you, someone was in his ear immediately after. Saying, hey, TV just caught you hip checking him. Don't say shit about this afterwards. This guy fucking stinks. He stinks. So on to other news relating to the last episode in regards to Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ has cleared waivers, and it was revealed that ding, 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 he wanted to play alongside Aaron Rodgers in a Green Bay Packers jersey. But wait, we don't know that. But we're going to keep going. I wanted him on the Green Bay Packers. So in that time that he cleared waivers, he can now double dip. Get money from the Browns and now get money from his next team, who we now know who it is. I would have loved to see the Packers get him alongside Davante Adams, get him a friendly deal going with other wide receivers, Lazard, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. With Aaron Rodgers, the defensive played fantastic that game against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but who are they? What are they? What is that defense? We don't know. If OBJ goes to your team, you are automatically excited, even though there were not a lot of New York media and now Cleveland media saying, OBJ ain't it, get him out of here. And as soon as the report showed up, Packers fans immediately, fucking right, let's go. If the report had been any other team, every fan would be saying, fuck yeah, let's go. That's why the narrative being perpetuated by people that OBJ is a guy you don't want on your team is fucking bullshit. All these people saying all this shit, shut up. Okay, shut up. The moment you see OBJ potentially coming to your team, you will all be like, oh, hell yeah, he's going to make the team better. He's going to make our team better. Fuck yeah. It's all so fascinating. And here's the fucking...
I don't understand why people would ever think that.
It's because of his... I think it has to do with him being a vet. And I think it had to do with locker room presence. But I'm going to get into that. Because here's the fucking thing, right? The best part in the locker room, speaking of locker room presence, OBJ could have bonded with Aaron immediately. Just be like, hey, everyone scrutinizes me too for every fucking thing I do. But fuck all that. Let's go get that Lombardi, baby. The issue is people. Yeah. The issue is people, and by people I mean NFL organizations, not viewing him as the top dog like he used to be. Like I said, they got Davante Adams in there, who would be number one. But he could have gone there without the pressure now. That's the difference. I highly doubt he's going to go into the locker room and become an issue or a cancer for the Packers and brought the whole team down. And here's the other thing. That was definitely an issue for the Browns. 100%. Because Baker Mayfield is still learning. But with all the vets on the Packers and such a good and respected vetted QB like Aaron Rodgers, that would have been a situation that would have never happened on the Packers and in the locker room, and especially on the field. And guess what? Davante Adams is in that receiver room, same thing. Great leader. OBJ would have fit super great in that organization. Seems easy for me. Green Bay also cleared $6 million out of nowhere, and picking up OBJ would have been super easy. With OBJ double dipping, you could have picked him up for $500 to $950K because we are halfway through the season. Deshaun just got $1 million, I believe, from the Raiders, double dipping. So awesome. That's the dream. That's the dream. Getting paid by 2 NFL teams. Me and Taylor have a high school teacher who retired with the pension, got the 88% of the salary, then went to another school district. Perfection. But we all know my dream of him going to the Packers did not happen because this man signed with a different team that none of us thought he'd sign with. Was it the Kansas City Chiefs? Nope. Was it the New England Patriots? Nope. Was it the New Orleans Saints? Nope. Instead, in a wild turn of events, who wants to go all in right now, with a GM that is actually quoted with saying, fuck them picks, dude. Has no first rounder for the next 7 years or so. The Los Angeles Rams. And Sean McVay signed Odell Beckham Jr. to add an arsenal of weapons to that of Matt Stafford now has. Cooper Kupp, top 5 in the NFL right now in receiving yards, on pace to break Calvin Johnson's record. Deshaun Jackson packed his bags and headed to Vegas. What are we going to do? They snagged Von Miller on the defensive side, and McVay said, I know what we need. And they snagged OBJ for nothing. And if they can get 3 or 4 explosive plays while OBJ is healthy, they can ride this wave to the end zone and win the NFC Championship. A lot of teams could have got OBJ, but if you don't know, OBJ has one of the coolest houses in Los Angeles. Sick house. Trains in the off-season in Los Angeles. Ends up on a team filled with superstars. Seems like perfection.
Beautiful fit. Beautiful fit.
Exactly. Stafford likes to throw the ball, and hey, congrats to the Rams on the way they're running that team. And hopefully to the other teams, they're taking notice because the Rams are loading up. Loading up.
They're down by 7 right now versus San Fran, but that's okay.
Oh yeah,
Halfway
there's still
through the second, so
still time.
Plenty of time.
And then real quick as we run through yesterday's games, there's a couple teams I want to talk about here really quick. Aaron Rodgers came back and excelled, and it was great to see him back on the field, blowing out the Seahawks. But I want to talk about an NFC team, the Dallas Cowboys. Holy shit. This team came out of absolutely nowhere and absolutely embarrassed the Falcons. There was absolutely zero reason for this team to win 43-3 and zero reason for last week. If you're a Falcons fan, I would be very fucking worried because now what does that mean for the rest of your guys' season? And now the Buccaneers. Holy shit. Losing out to the Washington football team? What are we doing here? The Succaneers showed up to the Washington football team's field. Taylor Heineke led a 45-minute drive to seal the game. Taylor Heineke saw that team come out and said, you vets looking at your views in Tampa, all you guys having the most to say in the NFL, with the most weight, living their best life, winning Super Bowls, coaching staff included, being all veterans. I thought after this bye week they were going to say, all right, now here we go. All these big ass fucking brains, big ass football brains down there in Tampa. The GOAT's brain is down there. Let alone a coaching staff who has 500 fucking years of football experience combined. If you don't believe me, Tom Moore is down there. He backed up Johnny fucking Unitas, who played from 1956 to 1973, I believe. And there are so many other coaches down there with that kind of tenure, that kind of experience. So you see I'm not fucking around when I say a combined 500 years of football. So coming out of the bye week, I assume, okay, how you doing? Keep it moving. Washington football team just fucking handled them. The Bucs looked fucking bad, really fucking bad. And the Jets. Real quick. We're gonna zoom through this, boys. Getting destroyed by the Bill. The chants coming out of there are absolutely fucking hilarious because they don't make any sense. Give us Flacco. Give us Flacco. Feed us Flacco. Feed us Flacco. Jets fans, well, I guess you got to do what you got to do, but listen to these stats, okay? The Jets have allowed 175 points in their last 4 games. The second most allowed in a 4-game span by any team since the 1970 AFL and NFL merger. They are the first team to allow 45 points in a 4-game span since the 1966 New York Football Giants. They have surrendered 1,890 total yards during the abysmal March, the worst 4-game period in Jets history.
Ooh.
So it's not just the offense or the defensive side, which is why Bob Sala is down there in the first place to fix. They might be terrible, but that's why they faced the Bills. And the Bills were dancing. They were dancing. I turned that off, saw the Bucs were down at halftime, thought, okay, they're going to bring this all the way back. Nope. It was as if Heineke saw, checked his watch, said, what do I got here? About 75 minutes? I'm on it. Walks it away. Unfucking believable. Taylor Heineke against a Super Bowl champion. Now, look, No offense to Taylor Heineke. Good on you. You played a great game. But how the fuck does that happen? Next week, they face the Giants in Monday Night Football, which before I would have expected this to be a how you doing, keep it moving game for the Bucs, but who knows at this point. But this is why I absolutely love the sport of football. Because it doesn't matter. I mean, between Dallas and the Bucs, makes me love this sport even more. It's completely unpredictable. And the last thing, another quick thing, that may or may not be good for the NFL players, but great for the NFL organization as a whole. This season was extended by 2 weeks, adding an extra week with football and a bye week. I immediately said, okay, when's the 18 weeks of play happening? And now we have a rumor that's going to soon be true, apparently, plus an extension with 4 teams. We're staring down the barrel of it right now, boys and girls. Those 4 teams being super random. San Antonio and St. Louis, not too bad. But the other 2, interesting. London, England. How is that going to work? Another team. Toronto. Because NFL Canada is huge. Most Canadians consider the Seattle Seahawks and Buffalo Bills to be their home teams for Canada. So having an NFL Team Canada is my dream. I will immediately put them as my number 1. But the players, that's what I'm worried about. Because there's more risk to the players, so I'm assuming the Player Association will push back so hard and for so long until the money gets so big, they have no chance and they have no right to say no. And in my eyes, more money for football means longer and longer this sport will stick around. But now we are staring down the barrel of an 18-game season with this $110 billion deal going on. 2 more weeks is going to be an easy another $30 million. And this is why I think it's perfect with Roger Goodell. I think the NHL really needs someone like Roger Goodell because I feel in the past 20 years there has been such an improvement to the game of football, such an improvement in how it works. The Player Association really needs some work, but the issue is there's so many players, there's so many voices. It's easier for a team or for a sport like the NBA or the NHL, despite the NHL's Player Association probably being just as bad. But with the NBA, I mean, it's a lot easier. You don't have as many players. I mean, at one given moment, you have 11 guys on the field at the same time. So,
do you mean NBA or NFL? You just said NBA twice.
NBA deserves. NBA has a better player association, but that's because they have far little players.
Right, but you said NBA has 11 players on the field.
So NFL has 11 players on the field. Okay. That's what I meant. And here's the other thing. Not many issues arise too often. I mean, there is issues, but there's not many issues that arise too often with our GMs, with our NFL GMs. And it's something I've been wondering about going into the NFL. And it's different when you see a sport like the NFL handle the way that they do business compared to the NHL. Depending on who the issue is, there's a high chance that they're probably going to have to, pack their bags, how you doing, keep it moving situation, send them packing, sell the team, or forced to sell the team, and a new one comes in. Or GM situation where it's like, how you doing, keep it moving, you have there's an issue here, Saya fucking Nara. And that leads me into the situation right now with the NHL. And
well, I just wanted to say something. I wanted to kind of get like Taylor's input and see like what do you think about like when it comes to them bringing in a football team for Toronto? Because like I know for like the longest time, I know back in like I think it was like the early 2000s and whatnot, they used to have I think 1 game a season where the Bills would play at the Sky Dome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I feel like I wonder where are they going to put them? Are they going to put them at BMO Field, which is already fit? I think that's where the Argos play already, which, by the way, the Argos are going to go under if Toronto does get an NFL team. But, like, I think it'll be huge for the city, and it'll be interesting to watch, to see how we can finally get that fourth final major sports franchise in that city.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of, like Nick was saying, that the home team that most Canadians consider is, I know Buffalo being the biggest one because it's right there next door, but I mean, yeah, for Toronto to get a NFL team, that'd be huge for Canada, I think. And yeah, I think with the Argonauts going, like, I don't know, I don't, like, do they stick around, or like the NFL team just kicks them out of town?
If I was, what I would probably do is send the Argos packing to another province, maybe like Nova Scotia or something like that. Give them a team because they need one, and then giving Toronto the NFL team. I think that would be the best option. I feel like that would be best.
Put the Argos into the NFL, and then just a team move, and then the Argos just move to, as you said, for example, out east, or
yeah. Now, do we keep the name Argos? I would absolutely not keep that name. But maybe we do. Who knows? I would highly doubt they do because it's probably licensed to the CFL, even though the NFL and CFL have a partnership. Like, for example, Montreal Alouettes owned half the rights to Odell Beckham Jr. So if he couldn't play in the NFL, if he didn't get picked up, that's where he would have went. That happened to Johnny Manziel from the Cleveland Browns. Played for the worst team of all time, the Hamilton Ticats. But yeah, I mean, so in terms of that kind of situation, it would be a little bit different to kind of see how both sides would handle it. But the problem is NFL is at this point so rich that they'll be able to do anything that they want. So if they want the Argos in the NFL, they will definitely have that name in the NFL if worse comes to worse. But I wouldn't want that name. I would want something fresh. I want something new.
If the CFL were to try and bite back and be like, no, we're keeping the name, Roger Goodell would just be like, all right, we're going to buy your entire league and then shut it down.
Yeah.
Like,
that's pretty much what would happen. Oh, we want the Argos name. No. All right, so here's $10 billion. Hey, how you doing? Keep it moving.
that like all the players, and even like the franchises in the CFL, didn't they like ask for some sort of pension or some sort of support from the government during the COVID lockdown? Like, come on, get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the CFL is just a damn joke. Like, when you watch, like, I would much rather prefer 3 main cities in Canada to have NFL teams as opposed to having all the other teams that we have for CFL, because it doesn't even make any sense. Because if we had a team in Toronto, if we had a team in, let's say, Saskatoon and then Vancouver, that would be perfect. That'd be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, you got to keep the Rough Riders because their jerseys are everywhere. No matter where you go, you're always going to see a Rough Riders.
Yeah, there's always a Rough Riders jersey. I would 100% keep that name, 1,000%. But here's the thing too. Like, I think if those 3 teams combined would make triple, if not quadruple, more money than the CFL does as a whole. Like, at any given moment, on any given day of the week, at any time that you want, you can go to a CFL football game probably for like $20, $40 max. You cannot do that with any other professional sport. Maybe if you're the Arizona Coyotes. But other than that, I mean, you can't do that with you can't do that with an NFL team. You can't be driving one day and, like, let's say even the worst team, okay, which is the Detroit Lions. The 3 of us one day could be driving in Detroit, and at any given moment, if we said let's go to a Detroit Lions game, I would say there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. Do you have $300 for nosebleeds? No? Okay, well, neither do I. So guess what? We're not fucking going. Or, on top of that is, okay, do you know somebody who sells tickets? Because everything is sold. Like that, it's one or the other. Like, you need to buy tickets so far in advance. They're much more expensive. It's also a whole thing. The way that, there's so many reasons why I love football, and I hope if, I'm just praying this happens. If Toronto does adopt an NFL team, I'm hoping the way that the way that the NFL teams are handled in the states, in different states, is the same way that it's handled here in Toronto. Because I would love to go to, like, let's say for example, we the three of us are going to go to a Sunday football game, Sunday night football game. Let's say it's at 4:30. We can show up there at 12 and tailgate for the entire day. Just get fucking super drunk, eat shitty food all day, have a whole bunch of fun, meet a whole bunch of new people, and then going into the game super hyped up. Win or lose, you had a great game, a great day with a great game, and then you can just go home and just call it quits. That to me is ideal. Again, that's a situation that never happens in CFL. It does not happen in NFL and the NHL.
Unless you're an Islanders fan. The Islanders tailgate, but...
Oh, yeah.
But no one else really does. Try and tailgate in Toronto. You're sitting at a bus stop.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think it's going to there's going to be people, and I might get flack from this. And the last thing about this here, if there is a team that's going to happen in Canada, there's going to be Canadians that are like, I need to be the GM. I need to be the coach. I need to be on the management. I need this. I need that. It's probably going to be a Canadian owner, and I would say that's probably the worst idea. I would rather have an American owner, American coaching staff, American management with Canadian underlings. So people that can learn, people that can take in information, because let's face it, Canadians don't know anything about the NFL unless they're working there, which is probably not too many, I would assume. I would assume maybe every organization probably has maybe 20 or 30 people each that are Canadian, if that. So there's not going to be many people who in Canada know how to run it. So I'm hoping that the NFL says nope to everything that Canada has to say, because I'm sick and tired of fucking Canadian teams being shit at every fucking sport. It's driving me up the fucking goddamn wall. And if I'm going to be a full-blown team or a full-blown fan of whatever team comes in Toronto, damn well know I'm going to be very critical on it, like I'm critical on every team. But with that being said, we're going to move on now to the situation that has happened here in Anaheim. If I believe it's Anaheim.
Yep.
What do you do when you fall in love? Nothing. I don't understand alcoholics too much because I am a heavy drinker. Is that an excuse? Yeah, sure. I guess it's an excuse. Bob Murray. On top of the alcohol abuse, apparently just an overall shitty fucking human being. And again, I think this just goes to show with how bad the NHL handles certain situations. I mean, if he's been there for 16 years since 2005.
Yep.
What the fuck is the point of keeping him around? Like, he should have been gone a while ago. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Well, so like some of the information that I was able to find when I was doing research on this topic before we did the show, I found an article, and I believe it was on the Daily Face-Off that I got this screen grab from. Basically, it says multiple league and team sources tell Daily Face-Off that Murray is under investigation for allegations of creating a toxic workplace environment through repeated verbal abuse, harassment of the players, coaches, and personnel, plus intimidation tactics and temper tantrums. Temper tantrums.
Yeah,
Oh, so
man
he's a
child.
child.
That fostered a culture of fear throughout the organization. Who are you?
Wow.
This guy's been on the team, part of this organization, for 16 years. Started off as, I think he started off in the organization as the executive vice president, and then when it came down to when Brian Burke left, he became the GM as well. So he had two positions, and then when Randy Carlyle left a couple years ago, he then stood behind the bench for the remainder of the season. So he was the coach, general manager, the VP,
Jeez.
jack of all trades, 3-in-1.
What do you think about that, Taylor?
I haven't read much into it, but from what it sounds like, this guy's got some major issues. Like, holy smokes! Like,
One source says working for Bob Murray was pure daily mental warfare. The abuse was endless. Crazy text messages to players and staff berating them for their performance, and threats of job security happened with regularity. These weren't one-time slip-ups or mistakes. These were regular explosions and eruptions.
How did this all come out? How did that all happen?
So after the Kyle Beach incident, there was a memo that was sent out to all the NHL teams. Everybody in the NHL got this memo saying if there is a problem in the workplace, report it. And so what happened here was someone reported, a bunch of people reported issues with Bob Murray. The Anaheim Ducks organization handled it well. They first pushed him away. They were like, hey, we're going to put you on administrative leave. You're going to sit down. You're going to stay away from the game for a bit while we do this investigation. Then they did the investigation. A couple days go by. He resigns. They say, hey, man, you should probably resign. What we're finding here is not good, looking good on you. So he inevitably resigns. And then this whole report comes out. He's been in the league for 45 years. This season marks Murray's 45th consecutive year in the NHL.
it's a long time.
Jesus. See, that's what I don't understand. I'm
You're a
very
manager,
curious.
man. You manage a team. You're supposed to be the boss.
I just don't understand how something like this was able to go on for so long.
How was something like the Kyle Beach situation able to stay quiet for so long?
But that's what I'm talking about.
People are scared. People don't want to lose their jobs.
Yeah, probably what it comes down to is they're afraid to, lose their jobs or their positions and lose money on the table.
Should the owner be ridiculed then? Sure, the owner knew.
The owner didn't. From what I've read, is the owner did not know, because
I don't know about that.
so what happened is there's a reference in Brian Burke's book that says that when he was the GM of the Anaheim Ducks, the owners step away. The owners of Anaheim just step away.
How many owners are there?
There's two. I think it's a family.
Okay.
I got a statement here from the NHL regarding the decision by Bob to resign as the GM. Basically stating that we'd support the decision by Bob to resign his position as the GM of the Anaheim Ducks. While we understand that he is seeking appropriate counseling and treatment for his personal issues, there is no excuse and there is no place in our league for the type of behavior that was recently reported through the NHL hotline. We thank the Ducks organization for its prompt and appropriate response to the hotline reports. The league and its clubs are committed to a safe and welcoming workplace across the NHL and will continue to take away any and all action necessary to achieve that goal. Very simple statement. I feel like obviously they're handling this a lot better than the whole situation with Chicago. I guess it's one of those situations where you learn from making a mistake. They handled the Chicago situation absolutely terribly.
But it's also very different, too.
It is very different, but at the same time, it's also very similar in a way of people are finally speaking up about problems in the workplace, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. My whole thing is, where do we go from here? Because we've heard from Anaheim. We just dealt with Chicago. Where else? Who else? You were talking, what was it, last week? When we were talking about, yeah, Nick, you were talking last week about how, I believe it was last week, that we don't know. Maybe there's a player right now that's dealing with a similar situation as Kyle Beach, or there's players in the NHL that are dealing with different situations, but they're too scared to speak up. And then this comes out that weekend.
Yeah, it comes in threes, so it's probably going to be another thing coming soon.
Where are we going with this? Where is this going? I've seen so many people say that, like, this is, like, on the Steve Dangle podcast, they said that it's hard to pay attention to hockey because of all of this outside noise that's happening right now.
Yeah.
These are the dark days of the NHL. You can't really think, wow, my team just went on a heater, because you've got this going on in the background.
Yeah, this definitely takes light out of your eyes when you realize that, you know, there's someone like Kyle Beach going through what he's going through.
John Doe too, going through what he went through as well.
Yeah,
because it wasn't just Kyle Beach. So there was two players. Kyle Beach was John Doe 1. Actually, there was multiple players that had dealt with Brad Aldrich. There were multiple players. There was John Doe 1, which was Kyle Beach. There's John Doe 2, which we don't know the name of yet. He was a teenager in high school. He was playing high school hockey, and he was assaulted in 2013.
Jesus.
According to Rick Westhead of TSN, a Blackhawks attorney wrote to their lawyer that the Blackhawks will pay for John Doe 2's therapy, but will require his medical records, school transcripts, and other things to better understand how the assault truly affected John Doe 2's life.
What?
That's ridiculous.
What the fuck?
So they're going to pay for his therapy, but they need receipts.
That's so bullshit.
Receipts is what they're asking for. You don't need receipts. Just pay the man. What's the therapy going to cost? $100,000?
If that.
Give it to him. You just made that during this conversation right now. This conversation right now, while we are talking, they've already made that money. There's no need for this. Again, John Doe 2 was the high school student that was assaulted by Brad Aldrich in 2013 after he was let go from the Blackhawks. We can't not talk about these issues. The sport, as I said, the sport of hockey is in a dark area, and it's difficult to talk about these issues, but we have to talk about them. And for as long as we are going to be making this podcast, that's going to be something that we're going to have to talk about, is any sort of dark issue needs to be addressed, because these things need to be discussed, brought out to the public, and understood. But the fact of the matter that they are not paying for his... Oh, sorry, they're going to pay for his therapy, but they're not going to give him any money, and they need receipts, is absolutely
I'd be
a joke.
I don't know.
No, I'd be really pissed off about that.
Like, to be quite honest, like, I want you guys to be honest with me. How do you guys feel about this whole situation at this point right now? Because it's infuriating.
You first, Taylor.
Yeah, the whole thing that they need receipts and they need all this, like, that just, that pisses me off so much. Like, for therapy, you know, like if you won't go through something like that of like being assaulted or you know if you have like raped or you know anything along those lines and you know you come out and you have to provide proof of that you struggled from
So,
something like that. It's like well, now I have to suffer about this stuff and then now I have to show
proof?
fucking receipts and proof and make sure that you know like I'm showing you that I'm trying to heal and I'm not just taking money or taking advantage of this shit I honestly like it's just no words for that like that just I grinds my gears like
Them, I'll say this, and I'll be quick. Them requiring this kind of information sets a tone for everyone still that is affected by situations like this and that are being affected by situations like this because them asking for money doesn't just say okay yeah you know you were sexually assaulted but how bad did it affect you. let's
yeah
let's see you'll get the money but only if it really fucked you up. I'd be saying Actually, I don't know what I'd be saying. I was gonna say suck my fucking dick, but I don't know if that'd be the right fucking the right fucking thing. But at the same time, it kind of is like one of those kind of situations. You know, it's just yeah. I'm pretty fucking pissed off about that. Especially when you have a team that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars that you know can't cough up $80,000 to $120,000. And also, I would give him $500,000 on top of that.
yeah
Um,
like for
like
just for a company to be worth that much like money should not be an issue like you shouldn't be just like you know tracking your steps of where you're putting your money like I don't understand that doesn't
Yeah.
I don't know it doesn't sit well with me like that's just so stupid.
one last thing I would like to mention before we move on from this topic. That family of that teenager was destroyed after they found out about this situation. The mother of the boy was bawling her eyes out and very emotional when Kyle Beach came out with this situation and was able to have an interview with Rick Westhead on TSN. But that family was destroyed. They haven't been the same.
Was she like? Was her voice masked and everything?
I believe so.
I was gonna say, wouldn't that just say like who it was?
But the whole thing is at this point.
The NHL should step in.
The NHL will not.
I know, but they should.
Right. I completely agree. But the last thing is this family hopefully like this fight isn't over. This whole situation is not over, not for a very long time. And I'm just hoping that by the end of it we see the right results because right now we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
I just want to move on to some different news now. Kind of switch directions here. Kind of move off the darkness and get into some more NHL talk here. In regards to the Ottawa Senators, 10 players now in the organization have been placed in COVID-19 protocol, and because of that, 3 games have now been postponed due to this situation.
Fine them. Fine each player $150,000. Fine the organization. You're laughing, but I'm being dead fucking serious. Fine each player $150,000. Fine the organization $500,000 or $1 million.
They don't have that money.
Well, get rid of someone and just sell them off. Because despite the Ottawa Senators being the worst team ever in the league and they shouldn't be around next to the Buffalo Sabres, now the schedule is having to move or teams aren't going to be playing. And for me, that's a fucking no contest right there. Fine them. $150,000 each single player, and make it known for the rest of the league. Hey, you want to fuck around, and you want to not take precautions? Okay, this is what you're going to deal with now.
So you got 3 games: New Jersey, Nashville, New York Rangers.
$50,000 for each game. $150,000, and then $500,000 to $1 million to the organization. Why the organization? Because there could have been numerous times where they could have prevented it, whether it be the coaching staff, management, this or that. You know, this isn't 2018. This isn't 2019. We're still at the end. We're still at the cusp of COVID-19. Yeah, sure, we're probably getting close to the end, but it's still around. It's still there. People are still getting sick with COVID-19. Still got to be careful. Still got to be cautious. And if you want to fuck around, you want to fucking go play games. That's not the NHL. You want to screw around, okay? $50,000 fine for each game. I'll be generous. $800,000 fine to the organization. That's the best way to handle that.
Now, do they actually have COVID, or are they just in protocol?
A lot of them are in protocol, but it's too much because you've got 10 players now that are sitting out, plus a coach, and it's getting out of hand in Ottawa. Now, again, these, obviously, as I said earlier, they're not confirmed cases. But yeah, I mean, this is the first time this season that we've had to cancel games because of protocol. Drake Batherson was the 10th player to get put on. We've got some Leafs legends, Nikita Zaitsev and Connor Brown are 2 of the 8, or 2 of the 10, sorry, that are currently in protocol. But this is what happens when you're last in the division. I relatively agree with Nick. Yes, definitely do something. There needs to be more than just postponing games. You got to take it seriously. We're not running a bush league here. This is supposed to be a professional league. So take it seriously.
I was gonna say they were gonna lose money on not having those games, but I realize that they play another team and that team loses money. But are they all at home, like these next 3 games for the Sens, or is it on the road?
I believe they're all at home because they're playing Nashville, or they were going to be in New Jersey.
So New Jersey would lose money not having.
But
that's what I'm saying. Find them.
So New Jersey game is getting postponed, but the game against the Predators and the Rangers, they're at home.
Yeah, because then I was thinking it kind of saves that team from not, wasting traveling down and whatnot. So you're kind of saving money, and I don't know how much the money they make, on their part coming down on the road. But for the Sens, the whole venue and stuff, to sell out the Canadian Tire Center, or have a pretty big crowd there, you lose all that money for 2 crucial games. It's a ton of money that's just lost.
And I mean, the Preds are already in Canada, and this just kind of screws around with the Preds' schedule because they're already going to be in Ontario. They're playing Toronto tomorrow. So the whole thing is, now you've got the Predators, who are supposed to be going on this Eastern Canadian road trip right now. And now they're going to have to come back up later in the season, probably at the end, and play a meaningless game.
But they're going to win.
Yeah.
Ottawa Senators suck ass.
So stupid.
Bottom line, take this seriously. Because we're not out of it yet. No matter how much you think that we are out of it because everyone's going to games now and taking off masks when they're eating or drinking, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't care if 80% of the province is vaccinated, 85% of the province is vaccinated. This is still a problem. So until we can get it settled, relax and listen to the league. Stop going out. Don't go out with the rest of the team on a Friday night and contract this shit. Or even pass it on. Stay at home.
Yeah, watch some Netflix.
Or watch football like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be taking it more seriously. But, I mean, I don't know. Even the organization, even like the coaches, give them curfew or something. Like, I don't, doesn't make sense.
It's hard because like there's 7 teams in Canada. We're exempt. The teams are exempt, or I guess now we're allowed to cross the border. So if we wanted to go to Detroit, we could. But like the teams that are in Canada, they're traveling across the border more than the teams in America. The teams in the States are going across twice.
Yeah.
Whereas we're going across so many times.
Yeah.
It's hard to really, truly
Control
figure it out and control it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to move on. Get some Toronto talks in here. First point I want to make. Nylander. Still killing it. Buddy's on pace for 40 goals this season. 75 points. I mean,
Dynamite.
as much as I'd like to say, again, dynamite, absolutely dynamite. The guy's killing it. He's one of the most consistent players on the team right now. I don't know if you saw. Just bumped down to the second line.
I read something about that today, actually.
Yeah, Marner and Nylander switch back. It's gonna be Marner Matthews again. Now, hey, maybe it's a good switch up. It's good to have them flopping back and forth. You never know who you're gonna get the next game. You know, I feel like the way that we were doing it the past few seasons, you got these 2 set lines, right? And every team is able to kind of figure out what you're going to do. It's just like the power play over the past couple seasons has been so stagnant. You know? You got these guys standing in 5 spots on the ice, not moving. But now you got some movement. All of a sudden you got Rasmus Sandin coming up. Looks like a great defenseman. Liljegren's been playing decent. But you got these.
A lot better than Justin Hall. Fuck.
Oh my god. You got options though.
Jeez.
You've got options, and that's what we need here. Is because we've only got so much cap space because of all these players. Well, not all, because 5 of these players are making 55% of the cap. So what do? You got Jack Campbell putting up numbers. Buddy's on fire. Bringing over and carrying his numbers from last season onto this one. I think that he deserves quite the pretty penny when it comes to a raise. And I feel like it's coming any day now. I was talking a couple games ago about how, well, I guess last week, the contract talks are started. He wants to stay in Toronto. Campbell.
He wants to stay in Toronto.
He wants to stay in Toronto. This is something we need. We need players who want to stay in Toronto. It's just like Riley. I said it last podcast, and I understand like some people may disagree and whatnot, and think that he might not be able to make somewhere close to Dougie Hamilton money, Seth Jones money if he went on the free agent market. but he stayed in Toronto. He wants to be here. He wants to win here.
That's probably why he got the PO he did.
He got that 7.5. He also has that extra year on that deal. Carrier's still 36 years old. He's going to be an old man.
Yeah, freaking Jack Campbell. I don't know what his number is going to be. I've heard like between 3 to 5.
And I'm perfectly
year.
content with that.
Yeah.
Because if you can get a tandem of Campbell and Mrazek going, and Mrazek stays healthy, you got those two going for the next 5 years plus. That's less money than Montreal's paying on their two goalies. That's less money than Florida's paying on their one goalie.
Yeah.
You want these guys that want to be here, so you can take advantage of the small amount of cap that you guys have.
It's showing that they have 0 cap space right now.
Because they're in LTIR because Mikheyev's still out, which I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if any day now that buddy's coming back.
Yeah, he should be coming back pretty soon.
They're going to trade
then-
somebody. They have to. Somebody's going to...
Yeah,
You're going
Justin
to see
Hall and Dermott are on the block.
some sort of move. And I really hope
That's
that if they make a move...
3.5 mil together.
If they make a move with one of those two, it better be Hall. Because Dermott's still relatively young. And you know what?
He's good.
He's played decent with Riley.
I
The
really
past few
like
games
Dermott.
when he played with Riley, he played well. Obviously, there's been a couple screw-ups. But all in all, I ain't complaining. Not at all. I feel like that's good. You know, you got the two young guns, Sandin, Liljegren, bottom pairing. Then you got Muzz and Brody for the second pairing. And then you got Dermott and Riley. That's great.
Yeah, it's really
Tons
good.
of shooting options. I feel like the team's finally starting to come together. After a slow start last week versus LA with that 5-1 loss, I feel like they really picked up their pants, pulled up their socks,
Yeah,
kept
they
their
came
stick-
around and
kept their stick on the
Figured
ice,
their
like Nick
shit
likes to
out.
say. They came around and won 3 straight. Back in the win column, second in the division. I'm telling you, we're killing it, and especially with Marner quickly bringing his point production back on pace. I think the top 4 have combined for like 26 points in the last 3 or 4 games or whatever.
yeah, something like that.
Insane. Sure, you don't want to just depend on the top 4, but it's good to have options. Andre Kasha scored in 3 straight now?
I believe so, yeah.
Which is good for him. Nick Ritchie's buzzing, but he can't buy a goal.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Simmons. Another player on this team that's just been buzzing like crazy. And I can tell you right now, the moment he scores a goal, the weight of the world will be lifted off his shoulders. He's still struggling since his wrist injury last season.
Yeah.
And I know he wants to pot one. And I hope it comes soon. Because, sure, yeah, he's not making league min, but he's making $900K for this season and next. He's a great character guy, great guy in the locker room. We need these guys, obviously. But I believe that, he's due. You got all these guys like Nylander, Tavares, essentially point per game. Marner's there too. Matthews is coming up, 6 goals, 6 assists.
Assists? Nice.
Assists. But we got to get the bottom 6 needs to start producing. And I'm happy that Kasha has gotten a few goals the past few games. Let's keep it going. The more we keep these guys rolling and these guys going, the better this
How you
team's going to
doing?
go.
Keep it moving.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're on a roll, these guys, and it's good to see. Nylander, again, I think he's carried this team from day one. Obviously, Matthews and Marner were a little behind the 8 ball, but they've found their ways. And the only guy with more shots in the NHL than Nylander this season so far is Ovechkin. Not surprised, but
No.
that's crazy. I mean, Nylander has the second most shots in the NHL, so.
And like honestly, like we also gotta like I'm gonna hand it out too, because like this is also something that's pretty important. Alexander Kerfoot's actually playing unreal.
Nice.
10 points in 16 games.
He's doing really good.
Him and Nylander are both carrying their play. They were like two of the light spots in the playoffs last season, and they've carried it right over into the regular season this year. And I feel like it's feeling good, and I'm excited to see this game against Nashville tomorrow. See how we go. But yeah, I do have a topic that I want to discuss. It's a pretty important topic to me, just because it kind of relates to the whole Leafs contract discussion, and I really want to put this to bed after this, because we've talked about it almost every podcast, about how this team has way too much in these 5 guys. 3 of them being relatively young players. I have a problem with how teams are managing their young players these days. I remember how players used to be coming off of entry-level deals, used to sign mid-level contracts for 5 to 7 years, and then sign the big deal, then cash in. What are you doing coming in, playing 3 seasons, then signing 11 mil? Who do you think you are?
I think that's just the nature of the game right now, though.
I understand it's the nature of the game, but like I feel like
I think every every organization is wanting a player like Braden Point or like McDavid or like Austin Matthews, and I think every organization is just hoping that they can get someone like that. Make no mistake, Austin Matthews deserves his contract, deserves the money he's making. Does the rest of them? Absolutely not. Does Braden Point, does he deserve more? Absolutely. Does he deserve Marner's contract? 100%. But it just kind of builds up to them, like organizations trying to make sure that the moment they see some kind of little bit of potential, it's like, okay, we got to make sure he stays. And then all of a sudden, all of the leverage just ends up in the hands of the player. And that's why you got players asking for 9, 10, 11 million dollars.
Like, I'm going to list off some names and their contracts that they signed after their entry-level deal. These were all like mid to early 2010s, maybe just before. Start off with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, both signing $6.3 million deals for 5 years after their entry level. You got Ryan Getzlaf, $5.3 million for 5 years. Stamkos, $7.5. It's a little bit higher, but he got only $1 million worth of a raise the next deal that he signed. Hedman, $4 million for 5 years. Phil Kessel, Phil the Thrill, big man, hot dog man. 2-time Stanley Cup champion Phil Kessel signed $5.4 mil for 5 years. Eric Stahl, $4.5 mil for 3 years. It's a very short deal, but he cashed in afterwards. Bergeron, $4.75 mil for 5 years, then $5 mil for another 3. But he's still only making 6.6. He's never cashed in. Drew Doughty, $7 mil for 8 years. It's a lot of money, but lots of term. Kopitar, $6.8 mil over 7 years. I understand the cap has gone up. I understand the players deserve every dollar they ask for. But what the fuck are we paying these players for? What have they done to earn it? Everyone I listed before have all won at least one cup. They earned their contracts. Even someone like Tavares, who hasn't won much, has earned his contract. He's won a couple rounds. He's a center. Sure, The $11 million is an overpay considering his resume, but that's the price you pay for a free agent of his caliber. But Matthews, Marner, Jones, Barkov, Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Kaprizov, who only played 55 games last season, Svechnikov, Darnell Nurse, none of these players have accomplished anything. What do these players have to show for it? What have they done to earn these deals?
Well, I know Pettersson had like huge talks. He had people saying he was like the next Gretzky and shit like that. And again, I think it just has to come down to the organizations just putting all their money in the basket and hoping that something will come out of it. Those players don't deserve it.
I feel like when you the manager, you are, especially coming off of their entry level deal, the ball is in your court. Okay? The puck is in your end of the zone. You got this. You have leverage because they are an RFA, a restricted free agent. If they sign somewhere else, you get compensation. If they sign that money, if Marner signs that deal that was rumored by Columbus for $13 million, you get 4 first-round picks back. You think Columbus is going to be good just because of one player? No, not a chance.
No.
You got these guys saying, "I want money." Buddy, you played 3 years for me. You want money? Go somewhere else. Sure, yeah, maybe you pony up some money for someone like Matthews, or you pony up some money for someone like Braden Point, because they're centers and they're useful, and these are cornerstone pieces. Matthews, first round pick by the Leafs since 1985. Wendell Clark, who's that? Oh, you know who.
Who is he?
Oh, stop it. One of the greatest Leafs of all time.
He has a restaurant now. Kind of fallen off, I guess.
All I'm saying at this point is that these young players should not be making this much money, and the general managers have really succumbed to the agent's voice. The player.
See, this is what I was talking about before on our previous episodes. This is why I think Kyle Dubas shouldn't even be a GM. This is why I think Kyle Dubas, like, the more and more, like, I know you guys were against it, but the more and more the conversation gets brought up, because let's face it, I mean, even though you said let's put it in the bag tonight and close it up and, hey, hi, how you going? Or how's it going? Send it off on its merry way. It's going to come up again.
Of course.
But the thing is, with the conversation keep coming up, and the more and more we talk, it kind of just proves my point for me when I say Kyle Dubas is not a very good GM, and players that are offering, or GMs that are offering this amount of money to players like this, like Patterson, and whoever else or the other guys that you named. If I was the owner, I'd be saying, "What are you doing?" Look, Vancouver right now is unfortunately a mess, whether we like it or not.
Dropping 7 bombs in 2 consecutive games.
Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, sure, you could say it's the cap. I don't know. Like the NFL has a cap too. It's $188 million. It's almost invisible. And I don't really understand.
The NFL contracts aren't guaranteed. A team can just let you go. We don't want you, adios amigo, and then they don't.
You do have to buy them out. You have to buy them out. Like, but I won't go against the cap or anything like that.
That's the thing. That's what makes it. Yeah, sure. Say the Panthers signed me for $60 million, and I play one season, or I play half a season. They're like, "You suck." I'm like, "Of course." Look at me. So They buy me out. They pay me the 60 mil right there. It doesn't count towards the cap. Whereas in the NHL, it still counts towards the cap, and then you pay me out throughout a certain amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the NFL, those contracts aren't guaranteed. You could be playing one day, and then the next day you're not.
Mm-hmm. That's why money is guaranteed. So, like the Panthers signed Cam Newton for 10 mil, but he's getting right now 4.5 guaranteed, and then like I think it's like a 1.5. I think it's 1.5 roster fee. So he's getting like $6 million guaranteed right off the bat. But in terms of the way that the GMs are running the teams, it's just so much more different, and it's why I don't understand the way a lot of GMs work in the NHL. The way Brisebois does his management I understand. He also learned arguably from the best, who got some of the best players on Tampa. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Point and
sign them for really good deals. Top Brisebois how to properly negotiate and everything. It's something that we thought would happen when Lou Lamoriello was in Toronto. We thought that, Kyle's got 3 years to kind of learn from Lou, get an idea on how Lou negotiates, because Lou's a great negotiator. Say everything you want about him. He's a great negotiator. The Islanders are killing it.
Yeah.
But
if I was the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs and I saw that someone was given $11 million after not winning a single thing, he would have been gone a very long time ago. I don't know what
it didn't even start with Toronto.
This is going to be a very hot take with what I say here. There's no reason for you guys to have Matthews, Marner, or even Nylander at this. Like, what's the point of having these high-end players? Why do you deserve them?
Because we sucked for so long.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, you guys are lucky you guys are in the NHL, because if this was NFL, I'd be going, put me on fucking waivers. I'll go play with another shitty fucking team and make even more money than this, because it's not fucking worth it. Like, I'd just be leaving all the time. Like, it's just, I don't know. I would just, if you guys had Matthews right now, like, you guys having Matthews right now and everyone else makes no difference if you guys were in a different universe and you didn't even have, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander. It wouldn't fucking matter. There'd be no difference in you guys' record. There'd be no difference in the way you guys play, because Toronto just plays the same way. And it's, don't gotta push off too hard because I'm already making $8 million a year. Psych, actually it's 11.5. And it's kind of like, well, now that you've given them the jackpot, what do they have to work for? Like, that's where the big money comes in. Like, you talked about Stamkos making the money he was. That was a very big gamble too, because, sure, he went number one when he went to the Tampa Bay, but it could have gone any way. And look how long it took. Like, that wasn't a very good payoff, and the first Stanley Cup was won essentially completely without him. So, sure, he came on the ice really quick, scored a goal, and went back off the ice. But it wouldn't have really mattered. We won technically without him. That's what I'm saying is, I wouldn't give money to individual players like that. I would rather share the wealth. Hey, you want to come to Tampa? Okay, everyone eats. We all take pay cuts. Everyone eats. That's what I think should be happening. But you got people like Matthews, people like Marner, who are, I just want the money, buddy, and that's it. And I would either, I don't know, I'd rather get people that really want to play on the Toronto Maple Leafs and that are extremely motivated than to have players like what you have right now.
That's why back in 2018 I immediately had a problem with the John Tavares signing. The moment it happened, I was excited, don't get me wrong. I was like, holy shit, John Tavares. But I knew the moment that was going to get signed, the moment he signed, I was like, All
A
these
shit ton of money.
It's so much money. Everybody else is going to ask for more money.
That's the other thing.
And you already have essentially a second line center making killer money. Killer money in Nazem Kadri. I understand he went all red, saw the red mist and lost his mind in a couple playoff series.
I can't get over that. Like,
And
that's
trust me,
something
don't
that
get me
pisses
wrong,
me
it
off.
still pisses me off to this day, just like it pisses off Taylor, just like it pisses off the rest of Leafs Nation. But we were fine with Kadri. Maybe he was mad because he had to play on the third line now. Like, ooh, I'm the third line center instead of the second. I finally get a chance to get close to the first line. And then you go and sign this guy after we get Matthews. Now I'm bumped back down to the third line after I worked so hard in this organization to make it to the NHL and prove to you guys that that I'm worth being a 7th overall pick in 2009. And what'd you get for him? Alex Kerfoot, who can't even play fucking center. Tyson Barrie, who shoots his pucks, can't even hit the broadside of a barn.
That was such a dog shit trade. That's so annoying. I think Kadri was the only one who gave a shit in those playoff series, and that's why it cost them the suspensions that he got, because he showed emotion, and that's something that Toronto
Severely
seems
lacks.
that they can't find it in themselves to have emotion.
Even with Simmons on the
And-
bench. I
Yeah.
mean, like, don't get me wrong, he's great. He'll put up his fist
Oh, yeah,
once in a while,
absolutely.
but, like, what else is he doing?
Yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody, my buddy at work there, and we were talking about it, and I even told him, I said, like, Simmons, he's good. Like, don't get me wrong, like, he does what he's got to do, but when the times in this season so far, in the games that we played, and we needed that little bit of extra, jump, that little kick in the ass, Simmons was not there to do so.
He's
And
not the
there
Wayne
was,
Simmons from 2013.
yeah,
And that's the problem.
yeah. And it left to have, I think it was one game where Engvall started stirring the pot there, and everybody was going after him, and that kind of surprised me because I didn't see Engvall being that guy, but he was getting in the scrums, he was chirping the guys, but
Well, the game against
Simmons
the
was
Bruins.
not.
The game against the Bruins, Liljegren was the one that tussled with Marchand and drew a penalty on it.
Yeah,
Like, you're finally starting to get, like, some sort of, like, scruffiness and some sort of rough and tough play from some of these guys, but you're not getting it from the guys that you signed for.
yeah.
And I feel like
Nick Ritchie and Simmons and
Nick Ritchie, man, this guy needs to get a goal. Someone, please. Start wishing on a star or something, man. This guy can't buy a goal. I said it earlier and I'll say it again. Someone, please. Like, he's listed to be on the first line again. But, like, we need him to get going. 2 assists in 16 games. Don't get me wrong. The assist the other night was beautiful.
oh, Nylanders. Yeah, it's a good pass.
But yeah. Just some quick information I want to say while we're on the topic before we move on. I don't know if you guys saw. This is kind of more close to me. Nick might care a little bit about this too, just because like it has to do with the music. Aaron Dell, the goalie that was in net for the Sabres, he has a tribute to Joey Jordison from Slipknot on the back of his mask, and I thought that was pretty cool. It was just something I saw while watching the highlights, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! It's Joey. Rest in peace, my man. One of the best drummers in the world. Gone too soon."
That is pretty freaking sick, I'm not gonna lie.
That is cool.
It's
It's cool that he
Yeah.
did that.
Exactly. He's been like I think he had their current drummer's face was on the back of his mask before. I think in like San Jose or something like that. But I guess like he's just like a huge metal fan, so I think that's pretty cool. Moving on, though, I want to just quickly talk about Tampa. Kucherov is still out for at least a month and a half. Now, I don't know how that really truly affects how they're playing. I know Nick.
Well, we just won 4-1.
Well, that's good.
We just won 4-1 against the Islanders.
That's
like
good.
just now. Stamkos scored. Point scored.
Cirelli, Joseph, and Barzal scored for the Islanders. Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess like you guys are rolling, still keeping up.
But that's the whole thing. That's one of the things. You know, when you have a big name like Kucherov out, the team can still perform.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm talking about when a players deserve payouts that they have. Like, I think everyone on that team recognizes there's a big chance we can continue winning, and it's just a matter of effort. It's a matter of putting in the work and showing everyone, like, yeah, we can win cups. And I don't know. That's why I think Tampa right now is the best team in the NHL, bar none, by a very big long shot.
In the wise words of Dwayne the Rock Hard Johnson, it's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work and put in the hours. One other thing that I wanted to mention in regards to the Lightning, Cernak is set to miss some time. I know this is relatively old news. 6 days ago, he was injured versus the Hurricanes. But he's out. Looks like it's upper body injury. It was originally listed as week to week, but it looks like he's missing some time. I mean, you guys are still winning. Again, you guys seem to be able to band together and still be good. And I mean, you guys have Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev. This is obviously just like one of your bottom six guys. Mm-hmm. Bottom pair defensemen. But I know he's a big part of that team. He's been there for both cups. He's definitely important. So I just like to bring that up. But yeah, is there anything you want to mention before we move on, Nick, about the Tampa, or is there anything you want to mention, Taylor, about the rest of the league?
For me, not really. Honestly, I feel like if I just continue to talk about Tampa, I'll just end up regurgitating the same things I keep saying, and it's also part of the reasons why I just don't want to watch hockey anymore. Because there's just no point. Because I feel like regardless if Tampa loses or wins, whatever night, they're still going to be the best team on the ice. They still have, I feel like, the most amount of effort and drive to continue to win. And I feel like that's performed excellently on and off the ice.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool. What about you, Taylor? Got anything you want to talk about?
I don't think I have much of anything. Although, I know it's hockey related, but it's not anything to do with hockey or the league. When I was at the Sports Card Expo this past weekend, George Larocque was there, and he was, walking around, doing his thing. Apparently, he's really big into sports cards. And my God, man, I cannot fucking believe the size of that man. Like, I'm literally, I walked by that guy, and I was like, how the fuck did anybody even have the balls big enough to drop the mitts with that guy? Like, that guy was an animal. Like, I couldn't believe how big he was. And, like, he follows me on Twitter, too, so that's pretty sick. Just had to throw that in there. Thanks, George. But, yeah, no, he's a big guy, and like, just I remember watching him play, and when he was with Montreal and stuff, and like his fights, like holy shit. But seeing him in person, like you get a whole different perspective on these guys. Like, shit, those guys don't come around anymore,
You gotta think too, like he's that size just wearing shoes. Imagine what when he's wearing skates. Like
I know, and that's what I was picturing. I was like, add another like. Whatever, I don't know what the ratio
like
is.
3 or
blades.
4 inches, something like
yeah,
that. But like it's
Jesus, my God, with this gear on too. Holy shit. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. That's pretty cool.
All right. Lastly, we just want to as a podcast, as a group, as a bunch of homies hanging out in their rooms, talking over Discord about sports and shit. 4th all time in goals scored. Alexander Ovechkin. Will he do it? Absolutely, he's gonna fucking do it. He's absolutely doing it. Not a fucking chance he's not going to.
I remember fucking doubt in my mind. And I hate how everyone was like, nope, it's not happening.
Nick,
you are out of your fucking mind.
I remember when you and I used to get in discussions about this like 6 years ago when I lived with my roommate. Talking about, oh, is Ovi gonna make it? He's gonna beat the record? I'd be like, ah, man, I don't know. Like he's getting old. Like I think at that time he was like, what, 28 or some shit?
Yep.
And we're talking like, oh man, like he's got like 400, 500 goals to score. Like, I don't know. That's tough. That's tough. You're like, no, man, he's going to make it. And I'm like, I don't know. But like, then he's just like firing them off like it's nothing. But he's turned back the clock when it comes to scoring goals this season. Who does this guy think he is?
No, he doesn't need to think he's like anybody. He thinks he's Alexander Ovechkin. Exactly. And that's why he's going to score. That is why he is going to be number 1 in goal scorers. I have no fucking doubt in my mind that before the end of his contract, I will put money on it that he will be number 1 in goals scored before the end of his contract is done with Washington.
How does
he would be
36...
the only person I think, and the net. I would say that this record will not be broken for a very long time. I've compared Matthews before to Ovechkin. But the only reason why is because there's no one else really to compare him to. Let me be very clear when I say that there's still a huge, huge, huge gap in between these two players. Austin Matthews definitely has potential to be a very good goal scorer. But Ovechkin will forever be the greatest goal scorer of all time. He's right now... If you do not think he is the greatest goal scorer of all time, you're dreaming.
Like, it's crazy, okay? He started in the league when he was 20 because there was a lockout the season beforehand. Plus, he also had a lockout-shortened season in 2012-2013 where he only played 48 goals. He scored 48 games, scored 32 goals. Plus, we also had the shortened season last season and the one that was cut short because of COVID the season before that. You're missing like a solid 150 to 200 games here where he could already possibly have even broken the record at this point in his life.
1,000%. And I've told every single person this, and everyone always says, nope, no one will beat Gretzky's record. Records are meant to be broken. Like I said in our football segment, Cooper Kupp is about to break Calvin Johnson's record also for receiving yards. And that's not a very easy thing to do. Alex Ovechkin, this is a much more higher accolade because he came in the league at the right time, at the perfect time. So he might be, in my mind, the last person that's going to break this record.
Because like the league has gotten so like low scoring. It's not as high scoring as it was in the 80s. Like you're not going to see a guy score 215 points like Wayne did back in the 80s. You're not going to see that happen.
Here's the other thing. Players are also leaving the league early too.
Yes, exactly.
You're not. It's gonna. He's. How old is he right now? 36.
36.
Yeah, look at me. I'm a fucking huge fan. This record will not be broken unless a player can score 70 goals, 80 goals in a season. There's going to be no player that's going to be staying in the league for 16 years.
He's on his 17th season now. And in order to break it, he's got what, 5 more, including this season, he's got 5 seasons on his deal.
Yeah. So he's going to be breaking the record before that.
He's going to go to 41. Maybe he'll even continue past 41. That's insane.
This is going to be Okay? This season, I wouldn't be surprised if he has anywhere between 787 to 792 goals by the end of this season. I would not be surprised. 53, 54 goals season. People keep saying he's old. No, the fuck he's not. He's old physically. He's old on paper. Physically, he said it himself in an interview that he did with Wayne Gretzky, and also recently, I forget his name, but he's very well known in the NHL world. And they talked for a while, and he says, I'm only going to do it. This is before he signed his contract. I'm only going to do it if I'm healthy. I'm only going to do it if I can stay healthy. And I'm only going to do it if I think I can do it. Right now, I don't think that this is 2018, 2017 Ovechkin. I don't think this is the Ovechkin that got raised and broke out of his shell through Barry Trotz. I think right now we are looking at old school, give me the puck. Give me the puck, Ovechkin. It's been a while since he's had 12 goals by this early.
It's a guarantee that I think they're at 15 games played, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
It's probably a guarantee that he scores at least 24 more goals this season, right? Can we agree on that?
Easily.
Absolutely. Okay, so by the end of this season, he'll at least be third in all-time scoring, bumping Yager out. And then all you got to do is beat out Gordie Howe, and then Wayne. He's gonna finish it by season 3 of this contract.
100%.
And it's insane.
And
then at
fuck
that
all you who said that was not going to happen. I've been saying, like Taylor said, I've been saying it for fucking years. He is the greatest goal scorer of all time. There's no shot in hell that Alex is going to came back thinking I don't have a shot at hitting the goals, the all-time goal record. I'm fucking going for it. There's not a fucking chance that he's not thinking about it constantly. But also, he's matured now. He understands that he's also going to try to win games. So this is going to be an interesting time to watch Ovechkin. If you are an Ovechkin fan,
or even just a hockey fan,
right now, just a hockey fan, I would be watching his games. I'm not watching hockey at the moment, but I would be watching his games only. And it's literally just in case that one day, he might be down 4 goals of, hitting the third all-time goal scoring record. Next thing you know, he gets a fucking hattie and a single in one game. Like that's the level of potential that this guy has at 36 years old.
And it's crazy because, again,
keep in mind too. I know I'm going off on this. Keep in mind too, if he retired right now, he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
There's no fucking
Hall of
chance in
Famer
hell.
6 years ago.
So he's doing this. He's doing this as a victory lap. He's doing it for himself. I know for a fact he's doing it for his fans because he knows just people like me who love him so much. I would love...
Gretzky wants him to beat it.
Love for one day, it's, the year 2041, and I'm half drunk sitting on my couch. I have my son watching hockey, maybe Tampa is facing the Washington Capitals, and I hear some random Joe Blow being really good on Tampa, or some random Joe Blow on some other team, and they compare him to Alex Ovechkin, and they say that he has the all-time best scoring record, the all-time best goal record. That would be fucking unbelievable. And in that moment, I would tune out whatever dumb shit my son or daughter is saying. And I'd be thinking of this time right now, thinking how fucking excited I would have been. And I would just sit there, take a sip of my beer, crack a smile, and just say, "Can you repeat that, little buddy?" And then just keep on continuing. I am so passionate about Alex Ovechkin. It is a completely different thing for me. I think when in terms of with me talking about football, Alex Ovechkin would probably always take the cake. He's the one that broke me into the sport. And for a very long time, I have always said Ovechkin is the best player in the league. better than... I remember there's millions of times where they compared him to Crosby. I don't care that he doesn't have as many cups. I don't care that,
Doesn't matter.
Crosby has done this and done that. He still won't have cemented himself as deep into the hockey world as much as Ovechkin.
No, because
has
Crosby will have points and everything, but I'm sorry, Ovi's gonna have this goal scoring record, and that's just so huge.
And like I said, it's probably never gonna be fucking broken again until the day we get robots, because we got players exiting the league 6, 7, 8, 9 years. You can't do it. You can't break that record in that short amount of time. Like I said, you need to be scoring 80, 90 goals a fucking season. Like, that's impossible. Especially now.
That when he beats Gretzky's record, which is 894 for people who don't know, do you think he'll hit 1,000? It's only 106 after.
I don't think he'll hit 1,000.
It'd be so sick.
It would be super sick. I don't think he'll be able to hit 1,000.
I think if he can break the Gretzky record in the next 3 seasons, he would have a definite shot of making it. And if he doesn't make it by the end of the contract, maybe he'll stick it out for another season just to be like, "Yep,
I think that's what he's gonna do. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think that's what's gonna go down. Like I said, right now we're looking at a very interesting and a very special Ovechkin. Like I said, this is a give me the puck Ovechkin right now, and you can see it on the ice. I've only watched highlights of his goals, every single one.
It's beautiful.
They're all classic Ovi. They're all beautiful. They're all...
Top of the circle.
Yeah, right in his office, every single time.
1T.
And I cannot get over the fact that people still are saying no. You fucking watch. He'll be breaking this record before he's 39 years old. I promise you that. And then you're going to see a little video pop up in the game. I fucking know it. And Wayne Gretzky is going to be congratulating him. Because if you don't know, Wayne Gretzky and him are apparently very, very close.
And Gretzky wants him to beat it.
Gretzky, yeah, that's the other thing. Gretzky wants him to beat it. He also wanted him to win the cup. And I don't know if no one knows this, but Ovechkin went to Gretzky before he won the cup and said, "What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong?" So not only is this a player that is arguably, I'm not even going to say arguably, not only is this a player that's the best player in the league and the best goal scorer in the league, but he wanted the cup so bad that he was willing to change up everything. And another thing about Ovechkin that a lot of people don't know is he collects hockey sticks all the way from vintage up until now. And he wanted a stick from Gretzky. And Gretzky said, "You can only win, or you can only get my stick if you win the cup. Next year, you won the fucking cup." I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks this record before his contract is up. And I definitely won't be surprised, just like when he won the Stanley Cup, that I'm going to cry again. I lost my mind when he won the cup.
You lost your mind when they beat the Penguins in the second round to make it to the conference finals.
Yep.
That was huge, though.
I cried. I cried when they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not even winning the cup, but I cried when they beat the Penguins to go to the conference final.
And you weren't even a fan.
I was closeted, as I say. By that year, I had already said I can't do it anymore. I was rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and like I said a couple of times, I decided that because I gave up on them on the year that they won, that I wasn't allowed to be a fan of them ever again. And I've still stuck true to that. I don't own any memorabilia from them. I do have a couple of Alex Ovechkin stuff, but that's about it. And when I could only imagine how he felt when he beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I was flooded with all this emotion, and I started fucking crying because I was just so fucking happy. I was getting tired of constantly seeing them lose in the second round, it was becoming a fucking repeat every single year. It was either going to be against Pittsburgh or New York Rangers. And then they won. And then I cried even harder when they won the cup. Seeing him hoist the cup, actually seeing him breach the bench and throwing everything in the air, and just seeing his gray hair as he skated down to fucking, like, dude, it was just the greatest fucking thing. I think for me that is, like, I loved how Tampa won. I'll always like Tampa Bay, but seeing the huge smile on Ovechkin's face as he broke the bench and skated off, for me, there'll be nothing better than that. And when he breaks the record, when he does, I'll probably cry then too. And but as we all say, we got this camera, that camera, and this camera. Tell them what you're doing. And we're doing nothing. We're working, and we're talking sports, baby. So keep your head up and stick on the ice. See ya.
Are you serious? Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! They actually fucking made it to the fucking conference final! Are you fucking serious? What? Holy shit! Oh my god! At 2005, I've been watching these fucking assholes play! I've been a fan of these fucking guys in the one fucking year where I pretend I'm not a fan! Holy shit! What the? Holy... I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna have a heart attack. The one fucking time I pretend... What?
Are you crying right now?
Yes, I am!
Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with new episodes every week. And to check out our Instagram, Twitter, and SoundCloud for our audio-only listeners. See you guys next time.